So welcome to everyone. Welcome back to many familiar faces and welcome to those of you who are new. This is our stretch and strength for spine health using the foam roller. So for today's setup, you're going to need your yoga mat and some space to move around, and then you will need a foam roller. So throughout today's program, we're going to do some stretching, some strength work, and some mobility work, all targeting your spine's health. And just know that everyone's bodies are a little bit different. We're all dealing with something a little bit different in our bodies from day to day. So please listen to your body. I provide a lot of options to modify these exercises and customize the program relative to how your body feels. So take that into consideration, choose the option that feels right for you, and that way you can get the most out of today's program. So we're going to get started with an exercise where we're lying lengthwise on the roller. If you have a shorter foam roller, you will need to modify for this one. Otherwise, everything else in class will be the same. And I'll show you how to do so in this next step. And we'll make sure, let's see here, that my video is on the spotlight, just in case you guys did not have that one showing up on the big screen. Okay, so you're going to lie your roller lengthwise on the mat, and the easiest way to get on is to sit right on the end of your roller and then walk your hands back to lie down. Now, if you have a shorter roller, you want to make sure that at least your head and your upper back are on the roller, and then you can just hold your hips up above the roller, or perhaps take some pillows or a yoga block underneath your hips for support. So once you're on here, take a moment to just settle in and get connected to how your body feels on the roller today. Know that the roller is always a good indicator of alignment. So this is kind of holding your spine in its most neutral position. So your ears in line with your shoulders and your shoulders in line with your hips. That's our spine's nice stacked alignment, and the roller kind of forces us into that position. So sometimes this can feel a little bit intense or a little funny. We're going to start here with our breathing. So walk your feet a little wider than hip distance and allow your knees to knock together. Open up your arms wide out to the side, and you can find a position where it is a very gentle stretch across your chest, but it's not pulling or pain. So you might need to walk your hands a little bit higher to feel that. If you're getting numbness and tingling in your fingertips, just bend your elbows slightly and just allow your body to open up and relax here for a moment. As you let your body sort of release and melt over the shape of the roller behind you, start to focus in on your breathing. So we can breathe in 3 dimensions, and each dimension recruits different types of muscles. I want you to think about breathing today down low into your belly and wide out to the side of your ribs. So if you picture your trunk, we're kind of using the lower half of your trunk to inflate with air and to let go and blow all that air out by narrowing the space in the bottom half of our trunk. So if you imagine here, your lungs are like a balloon. You're going to inhale to inflate the balloon from the bottom and then all the way up to the top. And when you exhale, you're deflating that balloon from the bottom all the way up to the top. We'll try a few more breaths just like this in your comfortable alignment. If you're not feeling that stretch across your chest anymore, you can walk your hands up a little bit higher, but make sure that they can still rest comfortably down on the floor. And at the same time, start to think about drawing the front of your rib cage down to imprint the back of your ribs onto the roller. So that should also help to deepen the stretch you feel across the front of the chest, and it will cause you to engage your abdominals a little bit to help you feel more balanced on the roller here. Good. We'll try 2 or 3 more breaths just like this, letting go of tension through the head, neck, and jaw. And 1 more big deep breath here, and then a big deep exhale breath out. Start to slowly walk your hands down by your side and find the tips of your fingers on the mat right next to you, and then walk your feet back to about hip distance apart. So more narrow than you might think, and just get your balance here. Now this already might feel a little bit wobbly, and if that's the case, just stay here until you start to feel centered. And this is a great way to notice if your body favors one side over the other. You may find that you have way more weight on your right side or vice versa. Holding this position, once you feel stable, I want you to march one leg up off the mat at a time. So exhaling as you lift, trying to keep your back perfectly steady on that roller. So you're going to feel it wobble underneath you. I want you to try and make it as smooth and steady as you can. So if you really slow down the movement, it becomes a little bit easier to stay still on the roller. So that's okay to do here. Now this movement looks at the stability of your spine when you're doing something like walking or running and alternating leg movement. So you may find here as well that one leg is much harder than the other. Now, if this is easy for you on both sides, try picking up one hand and see if you can continue. A little trick here is if one side is harder than the other, try exhaling as you lift the leg up and inhaling when you lower it down, and that will help you to find your core. Try your other hand if you're doing the single arm option here. And chances are that second side is always a little bit trickier. Notice I didn't cue which hand, so we always tend to pick the easier hand first. I find this side much harder than my right side. Good, and if you would like, try picking up both hands and see if you can stay steady on the roller as you march here. And again, focus on your breathing, go slow and steady. Another little trick here is to push down into the opposite foot as you lift. One leg and then the other. Good. We'll try 3 more. 2. And one more time. Go ahead and walk the feet out a little wider. And once again, open up your arms. You can allow your ribs to lift off the mat for a moment and then draw the rib cage down, imprinting the back of the ribs onto the mat behind you. Pausing here, taking a strong inhale breath in through the nose and an exhale breath out through the mouth. We're going to take that into one last progression. So walk your feet back together, keeping the fingertips down by your side. Drop the shoulders away from your chest, so draping them over the shape of the roller. And this time, you can try just going back to those marches if that was really tricky. But if you'd like to progress, lift both legs to tabletop and hold this position. So if you feel really wobbly here, just work on getting your stability. But if you feel strong and steady, you can try reaching one leg out, pulling it back in, the opposite leg out and pulling it back in. Modification is to reach the leg up a little bit higher towards the ceiling, and your challenge is to reach the leg down a little bit lower towards the floor, all while staying nice and still on the roller. Good, and this one is not easy. Notice if you have way more weight in one hand than the other, or if your shoulders have started to hike up by your ears. Good, 3 more. And reach out for 2. And once more here, draw it back in, drop your feet down. And now we're gonna gently roll to the side and very gracefully come off of the roller. Nice job, guys. So that was a great core stability exercise. So I know a lot of times when we think of core work, we think of crunches, we think of sit-ups. That is a way to work your core without actually moving your spine. So it's really, really safe for most spine conditions. We're gonna take the roller now and turn it perpendicular to our mat. So this time we'll sit with our bottom down into the mat. We're gonna lie with the roller just below our shoulder blades. So I would recommend holding the roller with one or both hands behind you and then lowering yourself down until it's just below your shoulder blades. And once you have that position, bring your feet in closer, hold your head with your hand. And notice I say head, I'm not holding my neck, I'm holding the back of my skull. Bring my elbows really narrow in my peripheral vision. That way I can let my head relax into my hands. So my neck is totally relaxed here. I'm gonna lift my hips up and start to roll along the length of the roller from the very bottom of my neck down to just below my shoulder blades. So I'm not taking this into my low back. I'm rolling mostly along the upper part of my back, down below the shoulder blade. So this is along the thoracic spine. The thoracic spine is your mid back. It's underneath your neck and above your low back. Good. As you roll back and forth, you might get some cracking, crunching, popping. That's okay. This is mobility work, and what you're just hearing is the movement of the joints beneath you, and that may actually be a good thing here. Let your breath be comfortable and natural as you're rolling back and forth. Good. We'll try 4 more like this. Gently rolling for 3 and back. Good. Try 2 more and roll. Very nice. Once more, just like that. And then roll somewhere right into the middle. Drop your bottom down, and this time try draping your spine over the shape of the roller behind you. So if you imagine that space between your ribs and hips, that space should get smaller, and then drop your spine back over. And that's what will protect your lower back here. So if you're having low back soreness, keep drawing the ribs down and allow yourself to drape backwards, keeping your head heavy in the hands. We'll now continue with that rolling and perhaps look for a different spot that's a little bit tight to place our bottom down and extend over the roller. Try continuing to breathe here. It's easy to hold your breath, especially if this feels a little bit stressful for the first time. Now there's options to add in some side bending and twisting movements. So as you're rolling, think of tipping your right shoulder towards your right hip, and that will help you open the left side of your body as you roll to deepen that stretch a little bit on the left side. And then you can do the same thing up and over to the right. Different people are going to need attention in different zones. So if you feel that you need a little bit more work on the right or left side, go ahead and do so here. It's okay to customize your program to what your body is telling you that it needs. Good. You can also add in rotation. So that's turning one elbow down and the other elbow up towards the ceiling and rolling into your side body, getting into your lat muscle. Your lat is a shoulder muscle that attaches all the way down towards your low back. So very influential muscle as to how the tightness in our back works. Good. And you can try that other side as well. Maybe you're more comfortable rolling back in the center. Maybe you want to place your bottom down and drape your spine over the roller. Any of those options are fine here. Good. We'll spend just another moment or two rolling back and forth. And this type of rolling that we're doing right here, right now on the upper back, this can be done every day. This could even be done a couple times a day. I highly recommend this pattern of rolling for someone who spends a lot of time sitting at their workstation. And we'll take a little rest. So from here, go ahead and sit all the way on up. We're going to reinforce that pattern of rolling, which was for extension of our upper back, lying down on our stomach. So I just want to adjust here so you guys have a better view. Okay, and then you're going to lie on your stomach with the roller in front of you. So if you have shoulder discomfort or you feel your shoulders are not super strong, you're going to rest your hands on top of the roller with your elbows bent. If you're looking for a challenge, you're going to rest your hands on top of the roller with your elbows straight. So I'll demo here first and then show you that modified version. So your neck is long, the tops of your feet are glued to the mat. That step is really important here. Before we move at all from our hands, I want you to push down into the roller. And I know you guys can't see that here, but I am pressing down as though I might compress the roller into the floor. Maintaining that pressure downward, start to pull the roller towards you and then melt it back down, keeping the downward pressure the whole time. Pull the roller towards you and push down into your hands and roll back down. Now in that modified version, same thing. You're just keeping your elbows bent in this posture, making sure that as you roll, even with bent elbows, that your shoulders are dropping away from your ears as you melt back down. You're keeping your neck long and shining your chest forward and lowering onto the mat. So this is a really nice strength builder in that new range of motion we just found in our upper back. It's also really, really good shoulder strengthener, as I'm sure you guys can feel right here. 2 more times like this, and we'll melt back onto the mat. Excellent. 1 more time here. We lift up, 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 and roll, melting all the way down. Excellent. From here, take your hands down. We'll push ourselves up. And then we're going to bring the roller closer to us to work into a plank position. So this plank position is nice because really the goal is that we start to work out the muscles on the front of our thighs, our quads. The quad is probably the most common muscle I see to have lots of tightness and tension because it tends to be overused. So if you're someone who, does a lot of squatting and lunging and you often feel work in the quads, that's a sign that that muscle may be working too hard, that we have some weakness in the muscles on the back. So what we're going to do is set up so that the roller is right on the meaty part of our thigh. It's not on our knee. It won't be all the way up at the hip, somewhere in between, and rest down onto our forearms. Now, my legs right now, I'm leaving the toes tucked under. So it's like I'm in a forearm plank, but supported. If you've done this before and you want to challenge yourself, you can lift your toes up to point them, but I'll show you with the toes down to start. So you can feel the pressure on both of your thighs. We're going to start to walk forward so that you roll all the way to the tops of the knees, and then walking backwards to roll all the way up to your hip joint. And so this quad muscle is pretty long. It takes up the whole length of our thigh. Make sure to address the full length of the muscle. Now, if you're rolling with your feet up, you can just push and pull with your elbows to roll along the length of the thigh here as well. Now, your quad muscle is called the quad because it's made up of 4 muscles that go across the width of your thigh. So you may need to roll a little bit to the inside or a little bit to the outside of the leg to get into the different parts of the muscle. And different people are going to feel tension in different areas. So again, this is that option to customize for your body. Listen to your body and see where those tight spots are. Now, remember that we are in our pseudo plank position. So you want to think of lifting your ribs away from the floor, keeping your shoulders away from your ears and your neck long, maintaining that strong upper body posture here. And that strong upper body posture is going to be a good strength workout, but it will also protect our joints while we're rolling into the quads. Now, if you really want to add a little more body weight, you can cross one ankle on top of the other. Okay, that will help you to bias your weight over towards one side. And then you can do the same thing to the other side to notice and feel how the 2 sides may differ from one another. And it's okay here to spend more time on the side that feels tight. It may need more attention. Just know that this type of rolling here, where we're rolling back and forth over the muscle, I would recommend doing this type of rolling about 2 to 3 times per week. So not every day. This is different than the upper back rolling. And that's because this creates micro damage in the tissue intentionally. And that is in order to provoke an inflammatory response at a low level to promote healing to the tissue. So 2 to 3 days per week, and giving yourself a day or 2 in between is helpful for this type of rolling. We'll do just another moment here. And then you can press yourself on up and take a quick rest. Awesome, guys. So the tissue on the front of our quads should be nice and warmed up now, hopefully a bit looser. What we want to do is now do some strengthening work while the tissue is loose. So we're going to take the roller in your hands. I have a wide one. It's okay if you have a short one. Just hold the roller on the ends of your hands and come up to a kneeling position. Now, if in kneeling, your knees are sensitive, you can roll up your mat a couple of times to give yourself some padding under the knees. What we'll do is stack the spine so that your ears are over your shoulders are over your hips, and your hips are over your knees. Imagine your spine like a board. You're going to keep the arms reaching in front of you and hinge backwards and then come right back on up. Notice that I did not lean backwards. The shape of my spine is exactly the same as I reach back and come on up. So you'll feel that your quad muscles have to do quite a bit of work to support you as you lean backwards. This is actually an exercise that strengthens the quad muscle and stretches it at the same time. So we're moving backwards into a stretch position while the muscle is still working. So it's very, very effective. You'll also find it is very, very challenging. So go slow, it doesn't have to be far. 3 more just like this. Hinge and come back up. 2 more, drop back. Hinge the hips and come back up. 1 more time, we're gonna hinge back and hold. Now, lower the roller and lift. Lower the roller and lift. So keep balance of your hinge back position, moving through the arms. We go for 4 and 3. That's it here, guys. 2 and 1. Reach forward. Excellent. You can place that roller down in front of you and sit back into a child's pose or shell stretch. Take a deep breath into the backside of your rib cage and another breath out to release and let that air go. Excellent. So we're going to try now a little asymmetrical balance work. So a lot of times aches and pains in our back can come from asymmetries in the back. And so we're going to kind of look at how the 2 sides are working together. So turn the roller lengthwise once again. And even if you have a shorter one, it's okay. We're just going to put your right hand on the roller and your left hand on the floor. So you set up in an all fours position, a little bit elevated through that right side so you can keep a soft bend in the elbows. So we're going to start here. Imagine your navel drawing up away from the floor, lengthening your neck and keeping your back nice and steady. Reach the left leg back behind you. Once you're in this position, straighten that left leg, really reach it away. Imagine your left leg like a scorpion tail. You're going to bend down into a push-up and lift up. Bend down into your push-up and lift. Now I know that that right arm is a little bit wobbly and unsteady being on the roller. Let your left arm do the work, but think of really pushing downward, using your heel to lift up and over as you go into that push-up. So tipping your body weight forward like a seesaw. Good. 2 more times. And press up. Once more there. And push all the way on up. Drop your left leg down. We're going to roll the roller to underneath your left hand, keeping a soft bend into the elbow. Extend your right leg back behind you. Neck is long. Draw your ribs up away from the floor and then push up and lower. So think of creating that push up by lifting your right leg up and over the top of your head. The right leg stays straight. It's more like a teeter-totter of the spine, reaching forward and back. 4 more. And 3. See if it feels harder to balance on this side. Last 2. And last time there. Come all the way on up. Drop the leg down and shake it out. Whew, nice job there, guys. So we're going to get now into a little bit more soft tissue work for the glutes. We'll give our arms a quick rest. Turn your roller back to that perpendicular direction across the width of your mat. And you're going to sit down right on top of the roller. So we'll do one side at a time. And I'm going to try my left side first by turning towards the left. Place my left hand down on the floor and very gently starting to roll back and forth over the muscle part of your glute. Your glute is your butt muscle. That's on the back side of your hip. They also expand over to the side of your hip. So as you're rolling back and forth, you want to be gentle. It should feel intense, but not painful. If it's painful, there's a chance that you're on top of a bone or a bursa. And a bursa is actually a fat pad that goes between the bone and the tissue around it to prevent friction. Because it's there to prevent friction, it doesn't like something like this that creates a lot of friction. So you'll feel that as very, very tender. You may feel there's a big bone right on the side of your hip. There's one right at the bottom of your pelvis. Those are the two common ones that people tend to find as they're rolling in this position. Now, if you'd like to put more body weight into your left side to make this a little more intense, take your right ankle on top of your left, and you can go ahead and give that a try here. Nice and gentle, drop your shoulder away from the ear. You can keep yourself oriented more up towards the ceiling or a little bit more over to the side. And different people are going to be tight in different zones. So find that sweet spot for your body and see if you can spend your attention there. And our glutes are really important when it comes to back pain because they, one, connect so closely to the way our back moves. They support our back when we bend over and when we squat. But the nerves from our back also run right through the glutes. So anytime we have any kind of nerve tenderness or issue, these muscles tend to be pretty tight. We're going to do the same thing now over to the right side. So I'm going to place my right foot down, my right hand down, and roll to turn my body towards the right. And just rolling along the length of the glute here. Taking the shoulder away from the ear. Continue to gently turn and rotate your chest. You can add that extra body weight at any point here if you'd like by crossing the left ankle on top of your right thigh. For me on this side, that's always a little bit too intense, so I'm going to keep both feet down and kind of roll down a little bit lower towards the bottom of my pelvis and then right on up towards the back side of my pelvis so that I can feel the full length of the muscle. And again, you might be tighter on the side, you might be tighter more in the center, and you can focus your energy to where you feel you need it through the glute muscles. And we're just going to spend another moment here on this side. Again, this type of rolling for our muscles here on the glutes, this would be recommended about 2 or 3 days a week. So just the same as when we did the quad muscles on the front of our thighs. Good. And then we're going to take that roller out from underneath our glutes. And we'll finish with a little bit of strength work for the glute muscles. So we're going to lie down onto our backs. Place the arches of the feet on top of the roller and make sure the roller is close enough that you can tap it with your fingertips. You can check that on both sides. Feel your feet push down into the roller. So just like we did with our hands, I'm not creating any movement here. I'm working by just pushing my feet down. And you can't see it. Of course, the roller doesn't move, but that's our goal. It's to keep the roller steady. And so once you feel that, if that's a lot of work for you already, you'll stay here. If you'd like to build on that, you can keep pushing down as you lift your hips up and then drop them back slowly to the floor. The roller is steady beneath us the whole time. You can also try removing the roller if this feels like too much. If you're getting the feeling of a cramp, hug your inner thighs together and push, making sure that you're working your butt muscles at the same time. So that's what will help you to prevent cramping in this position. Good. Push through the arches equally of both feet, grounding into the roller beneath you and gently lowering back down. 4 more. We lift and softly lower back down. That's it. Last 3, we lift and lower back down. Almost there, guys, for 2. And lower down. 1 more time here. We lift, hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Drop it back down. Final challenge, if you would like, extend the roller out away from you so it's resting underneath your ankles. Reach your arms long overhead and roll yourself on up to a seat. All right. So that concludes the movement-based part of our class. You guys did a wonderful job. I know that there may be some questions in the chat already, but if you have any questions, feel free to send them over to me. Let me get a little bit closer so I can take a peek at what those questions are. And I do ask that if you have a moment to stick around to leave some feedback about today's program, I would really appreciate it. Paula will go over the feedback app and how to use it in case you have never done so. So, okay.
There was a question from Michelle about is there a way to prevent the roller from flaking?
That's a good question. I have never had the experience of a roller flaking, Michelle. So I'm not sure. It sounds like that may be a defect with the equipment itself. I might get in touch with the vendor that you purchased the roller from. I haven't had that experience before. And Molly asked a question here on the quad exercise. Ali is saying hinge from the hips, but it looks like you're hinging from the knees. My bad on that. I definitely meant hinging from the knees. I apologize if I said hinging from the hips. It's from the knees. Awesome catch on that, Molly. So it's keeping your hips in a static position, hinging from the knees. So great catch there. Ruth asked to combine this question. She's looking to combine this class with a quick 30-minute run. Would you recommend I do the run before or after your class? That is a great question. I think it, as many things do, it depends. I would probably do this class after the run. I find rolling can be really, really effective when the tissue is already warmed up. That being said, if you're in pain and you're experiencing pain that's preventing you from running or making running more difficult, and this class felt good, you feel better afterward, you can definitely do this class as a way to get your mobility ready to go do a run. So you can get different benefits from doing it in either order. I think if you're someone who's just doing this for the fitness side of things, then do your run first and try this afterward. If this is the mobility you need to allow you to run, certainly you can do this program first. Let me answer just one more question here. During the hinge, I get a calf cramp. That is really common, and I'm surprised that I didn't get more questions about that one. So I'm going to show this really quickly. The exercise we're talking about is this one where we're tipping backwards. If you look at my feet here, my feet are laying flat on the floor. A lot of people actually don't have the mobility in their ankles to get their foot flat. So you might find your foot is up a little bit, and then as you hinge back, that's going to cause your calf muscle to cramp a little bit. If that's the case, it's important to work on this mobility by trying to flatten your feet and then gently sitting your hips back and then coming on up to work into the stretch on the front side of your ankle. I'm very flexible in my ankle, so for me, I can sit all the way back. It's no problem to leave my feet flat, but a lot of people have tightness there. So you can look at that and notice it. It's actually a good mobility exercise to work on, and that is one where you would hinge at the hips, not at the knees, to put more body weight back on your ankle. So if you're experiencing that cramping, practice that. It will get better with time. Just know that it may be a restriction in range of motion in your ankle. All right, so I'm going to pass it on over to our host to do the review of the feedback app. Thank you guys very much for coming and great questions today. I hope to see you again. I have lots more classes left today, but many next week as well. So I'd love to see you guys again soon. Thank you very much.